Well, chaps, look, I premiered this on Sunday's podcast, but just for your listening pleasure. All aboard. All aboard HMS Piss the League. We're now no longer top of the league, which I'm very upset about, Peter, after West Brom decided to put some goals past Sheffield United last night. Your thoughts on Tuesday? I just enjoyed your text in the group yesterday, Peter, where you just said, Fulham are so good.
Well, it's true. And it's all a bit strange, to be honest. I've seen 8 goals already, 3 games into the season. It's 7 in a week.
Yeah,
which is very, very exciting, and to be honest, the football that Fulham played at times on Tuesday night at the Den was so special. I think in the first half, the intensity, the speed, Millwall didn't have any answer, and I guess you expect it from a squad like that, but to actually not only make the most of those players, but to play in such an attacking and positive way with bodies flying forward, it was really, really enjoyable, an electric start to the game. And it's, we'll talk about it, but it was a mystery how it ended up being 2-1 and how it became so nervy, but Fulham managed to see it out in the end. And I think it was a bit of a statement performance. Maybe it won't have caught the eye too much because of the scoreline. Maybe Huddersfield would have done that. But in terms of performance, this was by far Fulham's best of the season. And, if we are only 3 games in and Marco Silva is still talking about how it would take time to imprint his identity, then, it's exciting. It's very, very exciting. And yeah, that's more than merit to text. Then Fulham are so good because at the moment they really do look like it.
Yeah, Jack, what an electric start. 2 minutes in, Fulham 1-0 up. 7 minutes in, Fulham 2-0 up. And actually, within about 20 minutes, should have been 3 had Cavallero stuck his chance away. Just looked like every time we went forward, it was going in. And what I think we kind of said in the build-up to this game was, Huddersfield are really bad. It's hard to fully judge Fulham on Saturday's win, as good as it was. And we said Millwall is a much tougher game, much more of a litmus test of where Fulham are. And we've passed that litmus test for sure.
Yeah, with flying colours. It was one of those where I was trying to say to people, they were like, Millwall are rubbish. And I was like, I don't actually think they are. Like, I don't think they're that bad. And they didn't play particularly well. We'll caveat that with that. It is a point of they didn't pick up, they didn't do anything I kind of expected them to do. But I think Fulham made them look poor. And that's something to be impressed about. It's something to be excited about. This is a Millwall side that I have in and around the playoffs, in kind of where I was looking at the season before it started. And, maybe you compare and contrast that to Borough, who are another side that I had in and around the playoffs, and say that Borough are much more physically demanding unit. They're a little bit more resilient. They're a little bit more know what they're about. But it did feel like Fulham just were like, no, we're just better than you, and we're going to put you to the sword. And look, we can come on to the fact that we made it difficult for ourselves. Of course we did. And of course it was going to be a stupid header that bounced off someone. And of course it was going to be Malone involved and Smith involved. And, what's the name of this podcast? But it did feel like we, should have been 4-5-0 up at that point. And, yes, Cav misses. I'm still furious that Cav hasn't taken that on his right foot. I don't know what he's doing. He's right-footed. Like, he needs to. Why doesn't he take that on his right peg? Is one thing. There's some heroic defending from Millwall to block a couple of the chances that get done from the pull back in the second half. There's some really good saves from Białkowski. He saves that shot from Mitrovic on the swivel, which is a really, really good down, and gets back up against the deny Fabio as well. But I think that Fulham are inching towards where we need to be, and that's exciting. It's something that we can look forward to, and I think that there are going to be games this year, and we said it after Borough. There are going to be games this year where we absolutely batter teams and don't get what we deserve, and Tuesday could have been another one, which is scary because of how good we were. So there is that element of take your chances, get Fulham into a place where we're really, really ticking. But I'm confident. I feel happy. And again, like I tweeted the next day, but I believe in this side. It's the bodies piling forward every time we get the ball. It's it's the ability to get those overlaps working, to get pullbacks back into the area in places that are dangerous for Mitrovic. There was a couple of pullbacks that narrowly avoided people and just ended up with a Millwall defender and got cleared. And you look at those as almost like, oh, that was a shame. But actually, that's exactly what you want. You want Josh Onomah hitting the byline. You want the fullbacks hitting the byline. What we're finding is Fulham starting to find an attacking rhythm again. And that is so exciting.
Yeah, Peter, Jack touched upon it there. The midfield engine in the first half, it was Seri and Onomah. Onomah went off at half time, which was a real shame. But then on came Frank Zappa and Gisa, which just had Fulhamish tweeted the Simpsons gif, which was "Stop, he's already dead," which was just the perfect summation of what that substitution kind of entailed. And you're thinking, Jesus Christ, they've had the toughest first half, and now we're bringing on a record signing who, quite frankly, should be playing in European competition this year, not in the second tier. But that midfield engine just drove Fulham, and Millwall just couldn't get out of their own half at times, could they? Because we just snapped the ball back, and quite often it was Seri at the heart of that.
I think by the end of the first half, I was looking around the Millwall team, and because of what the Den is like, and because of the noise the home fans can generate, and it wasn't completely one-way traffic in the first half. There was a decent little spell, I think, after the 2 goals where Fulham just dropped off a little bit. The crowd tried to get behind the team, and Millwall just didn't have the quality to break Fulham down. I actually thought Tim Ream and Tosin were absolutely outstanding as well. It's actually quite difficult it was to a man, everyone was very good. But there was that period where they had to ride that pressure, to come through it, and yet they never really looked under any pressure. And despite that noise, despite the fact that it was at the Den, despite some of the tackles that Millwall were throwing in, mainly on the line. I mean, there were a few nasty ones on Fabio, but in general, it was tough. And yet Fulham were able to match their intensity and beat it, even after that point. And I guess that comes down to some of the quality in midfield. I think Jean-Michel Seri, the last couple of games, has been excellent. We've really seen what he can do technically on the ball in terms of moving it from left to right, in terms of dictating the tempo of the game. He stands in the middle and he's pointing at everyone. He's telling everyone where to be. He genuinely does seem to run this thing. Josh Onomah, as you said, it's such a shame he went off with a knock. I really hope that's not serious, because the last 2 games he's been brilliant. Not just in terms of his work rate in midfield. He's fantastic at reclaiming the ball. He's been doing a lot, especially on Tuesday night. But his driving runs, his dribbling, he complements Fabio quite well. Fabio's a lot about movement. He's very good when he's dribbling with it too. He's very quick, very nippy. Onomah can beat a man quite comfortably, can go around them, is deceptively quite quick as well.
Yeah.
So, when you're bringing on Anguissa at half-time, it isn't particularly fair. And Anguissa, particularly with the way Fulham are playing at such intensity, you wouldn't assume that he would sort of slot into that, because he has that languid style, as we've talked about before, and everything seems to slow down when he gets possession. But even he slotted in really comfortably.